So can you tell me how you felt after you realized you saw Brian Laundrie the next day, that night, and what did you do? Or you tell me about Dog the Bounty Hunter also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I was totally, I would say, jacked up. I mean, my heart was racing all night. I mean, I saw him at 12:30, and I couldn't go to sleep all night long. I mean, it was 7 o'clock in the morning. I was still wide awake, and I was going to start hiking that next day. So I was wide awake. In the hours following that, I started texting some family and friends, and just to kind of tell them, because I just couldn't believe it still. And one of my coworkers said, "Well, you should call Dog the Bounty Hunter." And he sent me his phone number. So I called, I got a voicemail, but I just left him a quick little voicemail. And then I was texting with my family, and I said, "Somebody reach out to Dog the Bounty Hunter," just kind of joking. And my wife did it. She posted something on Dog's website, and his daughter, Dog's daughter, followed up with my wife, and that's really how all the media attention started going. What I hear is that there were a lot of media sources that were kind of monitoring his website, and all of a sudden all the interview requests started rolling in.
And you told me earlier that you couldn't sleep after you saw Brian. Can you tell me a little bit about that feeling you had after you saw him?
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
Murderer.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I thought about it, it's like, hey, heck, you just, we're face to face with a murderer 15 minutes ago. And yeah, it's just like your heart jumped out of your chest when I saw that picture of him. And, I've never had a feeling like that before, and obviously never seen a murderer face to face. So it's quite a feeling. And like I said, it kept me up all night long. I mean, I couldn't go to sleep, because it was just like, wow, so pumped up. And I was ready to go catch the guy. I mean, I was like, I made 6 calls to law enforcement. I was like, somebody call me back, And so, that was kind of it.
And how about, you said you talked to Dog's daughter. How did that happen?
Well, of course, she was in communication with my wife. And then, my wife gave her my phone number. And she called, and she had a couple of questions for me. She wanted me, she wanted to understand what exactly happened. And then they sent me an audio clip, because they wanted me to hear what Brian sounded like, to make sure that the voice was the same too. Not just, face and everything, but the voice. And I agreed that it was him. And then last night, Dog called me also. And he wanted to hear firsthand, my account of the story and everything.
Is he going to include that in his, I think he's filming like a documentary or show. Did he say that's going to be part of it, or?
He didn't say anything like that. It was really just, get to the details and everything.
Okay, so yeah, is there anything I should ask you that we didn't talk about?
Well, yeah, there's probably people that are out there that are doubting what I'm saying. I know there were people out there on social media that were being a little mean to my wife, and on Dog the Bounty Hunter's website. And I just want to kind of tell people that, I didn't ask for this. I had, this was my 4th AT trip of the year. And, it's something that I love doing, coming out here and getting away in nature. I hate having my phone with me. I take a few pictures and do a couple of videos for my family. But, I ran into him and to Brian, and I really, believed that that was him. And I thought that it was my civic duty, to make the calls to the FBI and to 911, and to follow through with it, to make sure that the Petito family, got the due justice that they deserve for their daughter. And so, I didn't want to have, a million phone calls and text messages, during my trip. But, I thought it was the right thing to do. So those people that doubt me, it's fine. They can doubt me. And, but I really believe what I saw. I'm not doing this for publicity or anything else. I really believe that it was him that I saw.
So you're saying you weren't asking for this. You were just on a hike with your friend. Tell me a little bit more about that, like what your plans were, and if it was annoying getting all the texts and calls.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, our plans were to come up here. I was driving up on Friday after work, and we were going to meet actually on Saturday morning. And so I got up to the Tennessee-North Carolina state line at around 12:30 a.m. on Saturday morning. And I had never been to the area, and I was actually going to park my car at Davenport Gap, the parking lot there. And when I pulled down there, I passed the parking lot, and so I had to do a 3-point turn to turn around. Dark, secluded country road. The Pigeon River is on one side, and there's a mountain going up on the other. So I had to be real careful doing the turn. And as I was doing the turn, a car approached from behind me, and they kind of flashed their lights on and off. I took it as they were kind of saying, "Go ahead and make the turn. You know, I'm back here, but go ahead and make the turn." And I did that, and then as I was coming back past the car, the guy stopped and rolled down his window and kind of waved at me. And that's when I started talking to Brian Laundrie. And, we had a conversation, and then, I ended up leaving there. I was going to spend the night there, but he was just weird acting. And I didn't know it was him at the time. So ultimately, I met my friend the next day, and we started our hike. And yeah, it's been kind of annoying getting all of the texts and all that. But as I said, it's kind of my civic duty. I thought, once I realized it was him, to follow through on that, not just to turn an eye, a blind eye to it and move on. But I really thought that it was the right thing to do.
So when you realized it was Brian, how'd you feel? Were you worried? Were you scared because you said you were alone?
Yeah. Well, when I first talked to him, before I knew it was him, I realized there was something wrong with him. He was acting very weird. I originally thought that maybe he was on drugs. And so I was originally going to spend the night in the parking lot right there at Davenport Gap. But after just seeing him, I was like, there's no way I'm staying here. I mean, if this guy comes back, he might want to do something bad. And so I took off. I got back on I-40 and I was headed west, and it kind of hit me. What if that was Brian Laundrie? And so I got off the first exit that I came to, and I pulled down and opened up my phone and looked on the internet for pictures of him because I didn't know what he looked like. And the thing that stood out when I saw Brian was he had this really dark beard and mustache. It was very thick but short. And when I got there and I was looking at the pictures, the first picture I saw of him, it was a portrait view of him, and he had that same beard and mustache, it was the same face. And I knew it was him. And I immediately started looking to see if I could find the number for the FBI. And so I was pretty sure right then and there. After I talked to the FBI, though, I got back on and I was looking at other pictures of him, and I saw a profile view of him. And of course, because when we were talking, our cars were parked side by side, and he kept on looking forward. He didn't look straight at me very much. And so I had that profile view of him. And when that profile view came up, my heart literally jumped. I was like, holy crap, there's no doubt in my mind that that was Brian. I even called the FBI back right then, and I was so, just hyped up, I guess, from looking a killer right in the eyes and then, realizing it was him that I had seen just 15 minutes ago. And I called the FBI again, and I told them, I said, that was really him. You guys have got to go, look. And, they took my information both times, but I didn't really hear back from them or anything.
Do you think he was really going to California, or do you think he was just having like an episode, like a mental breakdown of sorts? Or
Yeah, so, when I first saw him, I kind of thought that he was on drugs because he was acting really weird. But as I thought about it, I don't necessarily think he was on drugs because he was talking very clearly. He wasn't like slurred speech or anything like that. And it's what I kind of thought then is that, after a month of hiding out, after killing somebody that you supposedly loved, I mean, it's got to be just wearing on him. And for somebody that is, on the run to just go and stop some stranger and start talking to him about his girlfriend, I mean, that's just weird. And I think, yeah, mentally, it's probably getting to him.
Mm-hmm. And what did he say about his girlfriend?
Yeah. So when we first stopped and we were across from each other, it took him a minute to say something to me. And he said, "Man, I'm lost." And I was kind of thinking, well, I'm a hiker. Maybe he's a hiker. I was, trying to find that parking lot. And I said, well, I'm not from around here, but, where are you trying to go to? And he said, man, I've got to get to California. I wasn't really expecting to hear that. Here we are on the East Coast. And he said, my girlfriend and I got in a fight, and she called me and she told me she loves me, but I've got to go to California to see her. And I said, well, man, the I-40 is right there. You can literally take I-40 west all the way to California. And he kind of shook his head and he said, no, I'm just going to take this road to California. And the road that we were on is a little, 2-lane country road called Waterville Road. And you can't get to California on that road. But he started driving off, and that's when I left.
Did he have like a laugh, or was he dead serious when he said he's going to use Waterville Road to get to Cali? Or?
No, he was dead serious. I mean, he was, yeah. But, he was obviously, kind of out of his mind. But, yeah, he wasn't laughing. He was just, yeah, that's what I'm doing. And he left.
Can you describe the car a little bit? Or did you notice a license plate, or was the car new or old?
Yeah, so when I pulled up there, it was definitely a pickup truck. I was sitting in my car, and he was up above me in a pickup truck. It was 12:30 at night, and the only real light was the light from my headlights and his headlights out there. But it was definitely, I told the FBI it was a white colored truck. Maybe it could have been just some other light color, but I said it was a white truck, and I pegged it as a Ford F-150. I don't, I wasn't, going in trying to figure out what kind of vehicle it was or anything, but I thought it was a Ford F-150, and it was definitely a newer vehicle. It wasn't like an old beat up truck or anything like that. It was a new truck. When we left there, when we went our separate ways, I definitely wasn't trying to get his license plate or anything. I wasn't planning on calling the police then. I had no reason to. So, I just kind of took off out of there because I didn't want to be around when he came back.
Yeah. Did he seem like nice, or was he just kind of a concerning character when you met him?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was nice in the fact that, he didn't have anything bad to say or he didn't act aggressive or anything. But, you could tell, he wasn't all there, that, there was something wrong with him. I almost was going to ask him if he was okay, but at that point I was just more worried about just getting out of there.
Yeah. You felt like a little uneasy about the situation, or you just wanted to get to bed?
Oh, it was uneasy about the situation, yeah. For somebody, the way he was acting and the things he was saying, it's just not what a normal person, pulls it over, stops somebody at 12:30 in the morning to start talking to somebody about. And so I was like, yeah, I've got to get out of here.
You got a bad vibe.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And are you planning to talk to is the FBI going to see you in person, or how's that going to work moving forward?
Yeah, so I called the FBI 3 times and I called 911 3 times. Yesterday, so that was Sunday night at 7 o'clock, I got a call back from one of the sheriff's offices in North Carolina, the one that got the 911 call. And the officer kind of informed me of what they had done, that they had talked to the FBI twice on Sunday. And they've made an offer to let me meet with the FBI either tomorrow or Wednesday, but they could set up a meeting with the FBI at that time.
Tell me about you're going to meet with the FBI, you said.
Yeah, I haven't confirmed that yet, but they've made the offer to meet with me. Like I said, I did speak with the local police office, sheriff's office in North Carolina. One of the things they told me is, and I was the thing that was the biggest disappointment to me is after 6 calls, no one had, from law enforcement had gotten back with me to hear my side of the story or the details from me directly. And so, but the detective that I spoke with on Sunday night was very informative. What he told me was, I placed the call to the North Carolina 911 system at 2:30 in the morning, and they had somebody out on site at 3:05. Basically, they had somebody out there for 50 minutes driving that area, and in that time they pulled over one person, the only vehicle they saw out there during that 50-minute time, to check him. It was somebody else. It wasn't even in a truck. It was a car. So I felt, relieved that they had, actually done something. I was glad to hear that. And the detective actually apologized because he said one of the their rules for finishing out a 911 call is to make sure that the people that make the call are informed about what the outcome of the situation is. And so he apologized that his office hadn't done that. And but you know, as I said, I have not heard directly from the FBI or from the Tennessee 911. I had called the Tennessee 911 system twice. But I probably will take the officer up, and he said he would bring the FBI to meet with me. So I probably will take him up on that offer.
When would you like to do that? Or when would you do it while you're up here, or maybe down in Florida? Or
Yeah, I'm probably going to stay up here for a couple more days. So either tomorrow or Wednesday, I'm going to arrange to have do that.
can you tell me a little bit? Were you able to see what Brian was wearing?
Well, what I noticed about him, you know, in the photos of him, he's bald. I couldn't tell that because he had some sort of bandana or shirt wrapped around his head. And then, of course, I only saw him, you know, because he was sitting in the truck, kind of, you know, the top portion of his body. And it looked like he had on a t-shirt kind of with the sleeves cut off, and it was a dark color.
And did he look like he's seen like hard times in the recent weeks, or did he look totally well kept, you know, maintained?
He looked fairly well kept. I mean, he didn't look like I look right now, you know, having come off the trail. He looked fairly clean and well kept.
Is there anything else I didn't ask you that you think should be known or that could be added to this story?
Let me think. Not a whole lot. You know, the incident itself was pretty short and sweet, you know. So no, I think that's about it.